for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing is Notre Dame's, what now, a week plus past when, the scuttlebutt about them originally started, and yet they have made no indication they are any closer to a decision of any sort, nor are they in a rush to make one, it appears, because if they were totally worried about all of the chaos that's being caused surrounding what they might potentially do, you think at this point they probably would have made a call, and they haven't, and they don't appear close. Now, granted, they could come out before 5 o'clock today and drop some big press release, and that's that. But as of now, they're just staying pat, and until they make a move, I mean, that does complicate things. But, to your mention about the Big 12, I mean, are people currently saying that? Like predicting that they're going to go under or something?
No, you see the occasional from legitimate people that there's a chance there are ways they could, but most everybody is saying that, and they realize that the Big 12 is in more of a power leverage position. And my point is they are the ones hunting. They are not being hunted. And anything other than, whoever, no, they're the ones that are in the hunting position. They're the ones with the rifles and the weapons and the bullets and all of that. And so that's in a great position, no matter what maybe you hear elsewhere. And I got to tell you something, there's some good stuff on Twitter. There are some great people on Twitter, but at the same time, everything that I see reported that I get attached to it doesn't mean it's true. But I appreciate people giving us the heads up.
About the hunters and the bullets and all of that. I mean, yeah, to an extent. I mean, they're not, bulletproof either, though. They've got things that they still have to worry about, but they're in a very strong position. Just the way you phrase that is just, I don't know how on the offensive they really are, but can they defend themselves? Yeah, absolutely. Now, as far as the hunting part, I think they're looking around. I think they're, roaming, trying to find what's out there. But again, until, it seems like Notre Dame makes a move and we get a little clarification on exactly what the Pac-12 is planning on doing, there's not much to go and get right now. So be proactive, be on the defense especially. But, yeah, I'm not worried about the Big 12. I think the Big 12 is in a fine position. I think that they are going to be the number 3 conference when all is said and done. And they'll be the top of the best of the rest outside of the SEC and the Big Ten. And I believe that, that will remain the case. And I know the ACC's got the bigger brands and everything, and they've got the longer contract. But, look at what we're talking about with them right now. We're talking about some flimsy alliance that really means a whole lot of nothing, quite frankly, in the long run. So that's why I say that about the Big 12. If you want to put the ACC above them because of brands and whatever, that's fine. But my point is I think the Big 12 is certainly in a better position than the Pac and will remain in a better position than the Pac. And I think they're going to be fine in the long run. Under Brett Yormark. I do.
I think they also, just a year ago, set themselves up for we were already waiting for a second round of realignment when the Texas-Oklahoma thing got settled. And so they've been planning on that. Now, they probably weren't planning on completely the Pac-12 falling apart in a year, but I'm sure it might have been a possibility. That probably wasn't the top of mind where it was like that's going to happen. But if the Pac-12 does, in fact, fall apart, and again, there's not been, and again, the Texas OU move is massive, but it wasn't massive on the same level to the Pac-12 in that it just guts the entire market of Southern California from that league. And not only just television-wise, but recruiting-wise and all that really hurts it. So they're going to have to reinvent what they do more so than the Big 12 was already doing. The Big 12 can lose Texas and Oklahoma, and probably most of them will move on to the same thing that they were doing before without having to reinvent who they are.
Well, let's get to a point that we got a lot of people that are viewing for the first time that were not watching us during the first realignment. And you were the one that broke all the stuff about the new schools, and you also talked about the schools that were being pursued further, the schools that they ended up not pursuing, and there were 4 of them, right? And
there were. We know of at least 3, possibly all of the 4. Yes, there's.
I thought we knew all 4. Okay, SMU,
Memphis, SMU, Boise State, and USF was also in that mix. Those were the 4 that, if they ever got into a rapid fire, here we go, add, and it was the perfect world. Those were the ones on the radar next. But now that right now is obviously on hold.
No, they stopped on realignment. They stopped where they were to kind of see the landscape. We asked plenty of questions to various ADs, including Mac Rhodes, and it was always kind of we're not really doing anything now, but we keep our eyes open. There was no rush, no need to go and add those 4 teams after they added the 4 that they did. But if there had been something in the grand college football landscape where they needed to act quickly, that's who they'd identified. That's who they were going to move on. But I do think part of why they didn't do that is because, well, I mean, there wasn't really a rush to go and add another 4 teams that's just going to further, split the money, especially when you got a TV deal that was coming up soon. But also, yeah, I think they realized that there could be hell breaking loose just about anywhere, including in the Pac-12. And so why go rush and add Boise State and SMU and USF when you could have Arizona or Utah or Oregon or Washington available, and them holding off turned out to be a good move because now they're not saddled with, extra teams that aren't really bringing value, and they have an opportunity to go maybe add some more big brands. And that opens the door for the Boise's and perhaps the San Diegos to the Pac-12. We'll see. That's all the complicated part of it is kind of the fantasy booking, but it's all very interesting, that's for sure.
By the way, Baylor men's